Hey guys, how are you?
Good man.
You? All good?
Not so good, man.
What happened?
So actually, I didn't get paid. Just something complicated. I don't know why can't they pay me properly.
So generally payroll is actually very complicated. What happens is they don't just have to pay you, they have to do a lot of paperwork. It's actually very tedious. It's a lot of work considering how many employees we have. Also, so a part of our salary goes to the superannuation companies, and rest of it goes to ATO. So there is a lot of work behind this. So sometimes if they don't pay you properly, I think it's understood they have a lot of work. Understand is why can't they just outsource it? It will just make everyone's life simpler.
Did you guys see the news? Recently I saw the news of Plutus payroll and they are allied for 165 million tax fraud. They paid 9.5% to superannuation company, but the 30% of the wage which needs to be paid to ATO was never paid. So the scam started where they used to pay only 90% of the tax money and 10% of the money they used to transfer it to directors of the company. They did this by paying for fake invoice to their subsidiary companies which were managed by puppet directors who then gave 10% amount back to the directors. The surprising part is that these companies were created just to show on paper and the directors of those companies were hired by Plutus payroll.
If this was such a big scam, how did they get away with it so easily? Aren't there agencies which take care of these kind of frauds? What happened?
So what happened was, like, let's say for the year 2016-17, there are almost approx 900,000 companies lodging their tax.
Wow, that's a lot.
So the amount of tax which ATO gets it would be somewhere in would be 343 billions something. So just think about a bigger picture. So 165 million is just a small amount which is untrackable.
I think it's less than 1% if I'm right.
Yeah, it would be somewhere around 0.04 something, 0.48 would be. So it was untrackable. That's the reason ATO was never able to catch them.
Okay. Who were the people who were involved?
So the name which always used to flash on the news was one of their main director, who was Adam Cranston. So and also his sister Lauren, who was like handling those the subsidiary companies.
Okay.
And there was one of the tax lawyer. I think he used to work for KPMG. So he was Dave Menon, who gave them the advice how to do this fraud.
So was he the real mastermind behind everything?
Probably, because there's no evidence right now, but people are like, in the news it's always being said that Dave Menon was the one who used to always give them advice on that.
Okay.
And maybe he might have got some gift or something like that. And one of the main one was the ATO Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Michael Cranston, who's the father of Adam Cranston. So probably there are a lot of chances where Michael has managed a lot of things. He has never given a chance for the ATO to come across the Plutus payroll scam.
Okay, so if I understand this right, what Michael would have done is, he would just have made sure that this thing never gets detected.
Yeah.
So, but is it been proven that he was involved too?
There's nothing as such right now. Like, there are still charges going on. There are still like evidence. They are following like what all evidence they are getting it right now at the moment. But there's nothing being proved right now. But most of their accounts, everything are being sealed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good one. I think this is a very interesting case study. I have tuitions in the evening where I take private classes. I may bring this up and ask my students to, work with it. It's a very interesting case. I'm sure they'll benefit from it. So how did they get caught?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So what happened was there were 3 waves and in the first 2 waves they managed to scrape through with the money. However, in the third wave, their luck changed. What happened was the contractors started complaining about the losses in their wages, superannuation and pay, and that is how this whole issue came on surface.
So that's how they got caught basically?
Yeah. This thing went online and a lot of people read it. ATO found this and invented. When they investigated, they found that they were stealing more than 2 million a month from the ATO towards the end.
Wow, that's actually a lot of money. Did they get all the money, or was ATA able to recover all the money? What happened actually?
Unfortunately, no. A lot of money was not recovered because they spent most of the money. So the main expenses of these money was into 25 million cash was blown. They spent money on 25 very expensive cars. Apart from that, vacations, planes, properties, jewelries, boats, and they even spent money on guns. They were all in their early 20s and 30s. What do you expect?
Yeah. Wow, that's actually a lot of money. Uh, it's it's so sad considering this money could have been put to so much better use, but now they are using all the money.
Yeah, they actually spent most of it. The assets were not enough to recover the amount they owed. There was almost a whole of $100 million, which could have not been paid back, and ATO has no way to recover it.
Wow, looks like even if they get caught, the money is not going to come back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right. Good conversation, good break time. I think I'll see you tomorrow.
Sure, no worries.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Well,
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you? Good, thank you. I hope you have had a good day too. So today I have something special planned for you. As you can read, it's about Plutus payroll. So Plutus payroll is actually a very popular case in Australia. I'm sure you guys must have come across it. So what you guys have to do is read about this case, make sure that you know all the important points, and once you do, you need to apply the theories that we have studied in the class. So do you remember, can you recall studying institutional theory, stakeholder theory? Yeah, so theories like them, you'll have to apply on this case and talk about it in this context. I'm going to give you 15 to 20 minutes. So once your preparation is done, let me know. And your solution, make sure you keep them brief, and it's okay if you want to read it from the laptop. That's not a problem. Guys, it's been 20 minutes. I think you need to stop reading now. I hope you have sufficient information about this case. So who wants to go first to, give your answers?
I can go first. I have selected stakeholder theory. Stakeholder theory states that the purpose of a business is to create value for stakeholders, not just shareholders. Stakeholders is everyone who's affected by the business. Therefore, they need to consider customers, suppliers, employees, communities, and shareholders. However, in this context of the case study, their action caused inconvenience for everyone involved: the clients, the ATO, the employees of the client, straw directors, the residents of the Australia were also a part of company stakeholders. Some clients lost their superannuation and wages. The ATO lost almost $100 million in tax collection. The straw directors had no idea they were abetting a big scam. They were taken advantage of due to their vulnerable state and helplessness because of their criminal record. So the residents of Australia were inconvenienced because the $100 million lost would be used for their welfare. Overall, they completely neglected all the stakeholders and raised a big ethical issue, which their actions, if the stakeholder theory was considered by them, they would not scam all their stakeholders. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay, good job. I'm going to give you written feedback towards the end of this session. But I think overall it was decent. Did you want to go next?
alright, so I'll go next. So for this case, I have used legitimacy theory. So that theory suggests that businesses are bound by social contract in which firms agree to perform various socially desired actions in return for approval of its objectives and other rewards, and this ultimately guarantees its continued existence. So however, in this Plutus payroll case, the Plutus payroll's actions were not in the favor of public. They stole ATO's money which would be used for public welfare. They advertise an unsustainable business with the sole purpose of stealing ATO's money. Their actions were not socially desirable, and after their actions were exposed, the firm had to stop its operations. This is inconsistent with the theory because if they had been conducting legal business, there would be nothing to expose and their existence would be perpetual. Therefore, Plutus Payroll's negative intention and a move away from socially desirable characteristics led to their demise.
Do you want to go next? Right. So I have decided to use institutional theory. Institutional theory describes how both deliberate and accidental choices lead institutions to mirror the norms, values, and ideologies of the organization field. As a result, organizations that meet the environment's expected characteristics receive legitimacy and prove worthy of resources by society and the broader environment. However, in our case, Plutus Payroll made a deliberate choice of not conforming to the values, ideologies, and the rules of the occupation. Tax evasion has happened before. However, this systematic method of swindling money at this scale is unprecedented in Australia. They try to loot the ATO of the taxes, which is not a common occurrence. In doing so, they risk their legitimacy. Their legitimacy was risked by because they obviously did not follow the rules and norms of the occupation. Stealing of money from clients is illegal and is definitely not a norm of any occupation. So definitely, for that reason, they were exposed and they were proved not to be worthy of society's resource. And in the end, they had to stop their operations. So that's my point. All right. Good job, everyone. We are reaching towards the end of our session. I have two questions for you. The first one is, what were the corrective measures or strategies employed by the organization in order to make sure that this crime does not happen or to reduce the crime which was happening in their organization? So this was actually a systematic method of stealing the ATO's money. So obviously there were no corrective or corrective measures or strategies undertaken by the corporation itself. However, I believe ATO did few things so that people are more aware. I'm not sure what exactly it was though.
Yeah, I know. So ATO has an informative page for everyone who's affected by the scam, and they have segregated everyone. For example, the employers, the managers, general people in society, and what all measures ATO is doing. They have an informative page for that, which will tell them in detail how they can work if they are affected by the scam.
All right, good insights. I have one last question for you and then you can all go home. The question is, what recommendations you guys have to ensure that this kind of crime will never happen in Australia again? Obviously this kind of crime cannot be stopped, so your recommendation also may include how you can reduce the crime.
So in this age of technology, I feel the best recommendation what I can come up with is using of AI and softwares wherein there won't be any need for humans to intervene, which is why such an scam took place. So what I suggest is there should be a software which will process the payments, which will pay the superannuation to the superannuation companies of the employees, which will also transfer wages to the employees, and apart from that it will also deduct a tax and it will ask for an approval whenever the tax is due.
In my opinion, scams and scandals can never be stopped. People will always seek incentives in doing wrong things. However, it can be reduced to a great effect if whistleblowers actually have a lot of incentives. For example, if someone reveals or reports something wrong which is happening in a business, they can be awarded, they can be protected, and they can be paid a lot of money. So this will make sure that anything which is wrong, which is happening inside a business, someone will report it.
Going through the whole case study, what I think the best recommendation would be, there should be a higher penalty for the people who commit fraud and who also help to commit fraud. So if there's a higher penalty, such frauds can be avoided, and it will be a lifelong lessons for everyone who plan to commit frauds in future.
Awesome. Good recommendations. I think it should be feasible, or at least it gives good insights. I'll send you the feedback via email, and I'll see you next week. Bye.